Now time for us to have a look ahead to our game of the weekend, which is the Saturday lunchtime clash at the Stadium of Light between Sunderland and Watford. Sunderland are the 1-2 favourites to win this one with SBK. A Watford win is 6-1. The draw is 3-1. But the question on everyone's lips all around the world is, what derby is this, Justin?
It's the Nyron Nosworthy derby.
Yes, yes it is. Come on, Nyron. Yeah, there's only one answer here, wasn't there? What a legend he was, Justin.
He was, literally, with these things. It's whenever I see them written down, they are the first player that comes to my head. And if I struggle, then it's not going to be as fun. But Nyron Nosworthy was the first player that popped into mind on this one. Yeah, what a player. What a stalwart as well.
What a stalwart as well, yeah. He's one of those rare players who is a bit of a legend at multiple clubs, isn't he? Because Sunderland fans love him, Watford fans love him, Sheffield United fans love him. I mean, my only real memory of him is doing his worst back pass of all time, where he tried to do a back pass on the halfway line for Sunderland and put it out for a goal, not even a goal kick, it was a corner. But good stuff. Good to hear old Nyron mentioned on a Friday. But this is an interesting one, isn't it, Justin? On the face of it, looks like it should be a Sunderland win, but Sunderland have had their issues of late, and Watford had a drop-off recently, but they've been in the top half all season. So if Sunderland have another off day, like they did against Plymouth, Watford could punish them, couldn't they?
Well, Watford have got the players to do it. You know, they've got Shakva Tadzi, they've got Imran Louser, who were, kept at the club over January. You know, thanks to Gino Pottsworth, if you were to believe him. You know, there are players that are going to harm them. They don't have Vakun Bayo. It's worth bearing in mind. Obviously, he's suspended for a shove in their previous game against Norwich, but I don't think that matters too much. I know he's a goal scorer for them, but it doesn't strike me as a natural footballer anyway, just to be polite.
He has been a goal scorer this season in what was, shall we say, a green patch.
He's scored goals this season would be the best way to describe it. But they've got players that can harm Sunderland. And as you say, I don't want to be on the side of the fence where I'm saying Sunderland are out of form, but they're not. They are in form. They're going well, but they have shown moments where they can be punished, where they can be hurt. And I think when you're coming up against a Watford team who are smarting themselves, not in the best run of form, and they've got some real top talent, yes, it could be a very sticky fixture for the Black Cats, and one we know that they have had previous problems this season of not putting to bed, if you like.
Yeah, they can't be underestimated is the best way to put it, isn't it? Because while they have had a bit of a poor patch themselves, and as I was alluding to, I don't think they've been playing very well for quite some time now. They still have some bloody good players like your Chatfatadzis and what have you. So, yeah, Sunderland need to be on form, and if that win against Middlesbrough on Monday night was anything to go by, then hopefully Sunderland are about to bang straight into form, because they were much improved there, weren't they, Justin? And I've got to admit, and this is a closed circle, isn't it, where we're all friends, we can admit these kind of things.
Yeah, go on in.
I've been having withdrawal symptoms since that game because I am desperate to see Enzo Lefebvre play once again. He was simply a joy to watch against Middlesbrough. His passing, his dribbling, it was sublime. Middlesbrough could not get a hold of him in that game. And young Watford right back Ryan Andrews, he needs to be on top form if he's to deal with Enzo Lefebvre in this one. Otherwise, he could tear them apart, couldn't he?
Firstly, what sort of withdrawal symptoms are we talking about?
Lots of itching, shaking, sitting in a corner curled up, rocking back and forth, that kind of thing.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. As you say, this is a closed circle. It's good to air these things.
Exactly.
You air them. We get to the root of them. We can find a solution. The solution is more.
I just need another
LFA.
hit, Justin. Yeah. That's all I want.
Well, hopefully, if he carries on, he's good form. God forbid, Sunderland go up next season. Obviously, that being said, if they don't go up, there's our option to buy isn't there. So Enzo Lefebvre will not be a championship player next season, so we must get to the root of this very, very quickly. But you are right, he is a dream to watch. Not if you're the opposition fullback. Obviously, Luke Ayling had a time, didn't he, against for Middlesbrough? There was that. I can't remember if it megged Luke Ayling, but it was that ball that came over to Enzo Lafay high, and he hit. He almost side foots it, like a bit of a Cruyff, like side foot volley sort of thing, and it knocks it past Luke Ayling, and Luke Ayling sort of smiling as Enzo Lafay darts past him. But it's that sort of quality he brings, the air of. I wouldn't say the air of the elite because he's in the Championship. I don't think you can really have elite players in the Championship, but it's as close to that as you can possibly get at this level. And it is sublime to watch. And I think if Sunderland are going to win again, or sorry, for Watford are going to win it actually, you've got to stop Enzo Lafay. And Ryan Andrews, if he's playing, if he starts, probably will, he's going to have a time to do it.
Yeah, he's going to have a task on his hands stopping the Sunderland Zidane, as he's been called recently. But yeah, he was. He has had a bit of a slow start, I think. But then that is understandable because of the amount of minutes he's played for Roma this season. But now that he's had, 490 minutes under his belt, he looks like he is becoming that guy that we all thought he would do for Sunderland. And if he's tearing apart an experienced right back like Luke Ayling, then Ryan Andrews needs to be on top form for this one. We've mentioned him a lot in here, but it does look like he is going to be playing on the left wing in this one again. And I will stick by the point that I would like to see him moving to the middle at some point, because that is where he traditionally plays, and you want him on the ball as much as possible, don't you? So makes sense for him to go in the middle. And if he's causing problems on the left, imagine what he can do right down the middle of the pitch. It could be a real joy to watch for Sunderland. I think that will only happen once we've got one of Tommy Watson or Romain Mundle back on the left wing, because that would make sense, because at the moment Sunderland don't really have anyone else to play there. So yeah, when that happens, we could see Lafay really pulling all the strings in the middle of the park, and that will be scary to watch. But look, Justin, when it comes to Lafay, he was putting him on the plate on a regular basis for Wilson Isidore against Middlesbrough, wasn't he? And he is going to be absolutely loving, Wilson Isidore, this is going to be absolutely loving that service that he's getting from the left and from other areas of the pitch as well, isn't he? Because he's another player who seems to be banging form for Sunderland after, overcoming the 2 missed penalties against Burnley not too long ago.
Well, it's just one of those. It'd be one of those that they work on in training, where Wilson Isidore is going to be on the shoulder of the defender. So you've got your quality passers in the likes of Lafay, Dan Neil, who are gonna spot those runs, who are going to be wise to it. These things don't happen by fluke; these things are drilled. And as I say, Wilson Isidore is such a talented and intelligent runner off the ball that his movement's going to give them an option. And when you've got someone who can execute things as well as Lafay, then there are going to be openings from there. So it's something like Watford are going to have to deal with. They're going to have to be smart to it as well. I don't think it's necessarily playing a deep, compact line, because I think Sunderland can hurt you when they're just in possession, because they've got that many technical players in that final third. That's why it offers such a difficult task, because they're so fluid. And I think when we see less of that conservatism that Lebris does prefer, then we can really start to see these shackles unleashed with this squad, which is a terrifying thought. Would it be against Watford? Maybe. Doubt it, but very controlled performance at the very least.
Yeah, well, they looked certainly in form against Middlesbrough, didn't they? That was a cracking game and a cracking performance from Sunderland. But let's talk Watford, because their manager, Tom Cleverley, he's defied the odds for much of this season, and he's going to have to do it again to an even bigger extent now, isn't he? Just to stay in the top half, because we spoke yesterday about how disappointing Watford's January window was. Cleverley given very little backing. Watford fans not happy at all. They have been letting the Potsos know on social media how unhappy they are with the lack of support Tom Cleverley's got in this January window. With that being said, Justin, do you think what happened in the last month, or lack of what happened in the last month, pretty much rules Watford out of the playoff picture? Because look, they have been outdoing expectations for most of the season. They've certainly been in that conversation, but do you think in time they will just drift away and not be even involved in that?
Yeah, the team was always overperforming at the start of the season. We saw it. You look at the numbers; that is the case. I think importantly as well, the squad always needed adding to. It needed adding to in the summer. It didn't get it. It's quite poor that the club didn't give Tom Clevey the tools he needed to work with. It really is frustrating because you've got a talented young coach who, I think, if you can get a team overperforming and outperforming, their numbers, I think that's a big marker of a coach because he can't drill in his style because he's got the quality of players to do it. So he's got to be smart in how he operates games and the game plans and. That really long unbeaten run at home, for example, I think is down to having good, effective game plans. So I think, the lack of spend, or I wouldn't even say the spend, but the lack of movement in January for players is going to hold them back for this season. They needed depth, they needed more quality, and they needed depth. I know I've thrown shade at him already, but Fakun Bayo isn't a natural goal scorer, and he's already, I think, out, way exceeding his any expectation that we all thought he'd play with. So. Not having a viable replacement, or not replacement, but backup for him is a problem. I think, yes, keeping Imran Lalza and Georgi Shakvatadze is a positive, but Gino Pozzo said, or Scott Dutchbury said, the technical director that is, said that keeping them was Pozzo's way of backing him, which is frustrating. It's not. They needed more backing, and unfortunately, Clevy's not got it. So yeah, dropping away from the top six, I can see, or dropping away from the top six race, I can see.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they actually finish much closer to the bottom three than they do to the top six, because they have been on this downwards trend for quite some time now, and the results are starting to match that as well. And with the lack of backing, I can just see them sliding, and where that slide ends, I honestly do not know. One thing I didn't mention yesterday, by the way, when I was talking about Watford's window, is they've only signed 3 players in January. 2 of them from Udinese. The other one is a loanee from Chelsea called Caleb Wiley. Well, he's actually injured for the next few weeks, so
superb.
They've signed a player who's not actually going to be available until the final few games of the season, which is just ridiculous, isn't it? But that sums up what Watford have had to deal with in the past couple of windows now, and it doesn't seem to get any better until we see a change of ownership there. But anyway, that's our summary of Sunderland v Watford. It's now time for the second tier bet builder on that very game with SBK. And now with SBK, you of course don't just get your ordinary bet builder. They offer you fresh legs as well. And of course, fresh legs means that when a player gets subbed, your bet carries over to the player coming on. So whether you need a shot on target, a yellow card or a goal, fresh legs keeps you in the game. SBK, the only bookmaker offering this on every championship game this season, meaning there really is no better place to bet on the second tier. So sign up for SBK right now. Join the thousands of people already taking advantage of fresh legs every weekend. And on top of that, SBK are offering a massive 25% boost on any bet builder with 4 or more selections for Sunderland v Watford. Max stake £10. T's and C's apply. So every Friday, we make our own bet builder with 4 selections all relating to our game of the week. That's 2 for Justin and 2 for me. So Justin, kick us off. What is your first selection for Lay Bet Builder?
I've gone with Wilson Isidore to score any time. The Borough Conqueror is a man bang in form, ladies and gentlemen. 3 goals in the last 5 games. It could be at least 5 in his last 5 if it wasn't for the heroics of James Trafford, of course, in that Burnley game where he saved 2 penalties. Or the very weird officiating away at Derby, which saw his goal ruled out for very bizarre reasons. So that goal tally could well be enhanced, but very obvious, he's very much in form. And if you just look at his composure in that Borough game for his goal, it was fantastic. And like we've been talking about, Enzo Lefebvre and his passing range is going to unlock Isidore a hell of a lot. So yeah, Wilson Isidore to score any time is my pick.
Yeah, over his last 5 games, he's accumulated an XG of 4.4. And to give you an idea of how much that is, that's a higher XG than Zian Fleming, Michael Frey and Macaulay Langstaff have all managed all season. 3 strikers who have been playing pretty regularly for their respective teams. And, of course, the 2 penalties against Burnley in there does kind of warp those figures. But the point I'm getting at is he is getting a lot of chances, even in open play. And you mentioned the 2 goals in 2. Should have had more, really. I would not want to be playing against him because he's going to be a man full of confidence, especially after that Middlesbrough performance. Let's go to my first selection for the bet builder. It's over 3.5 cards. It's Ryan's card pick of the week. And look, I've done pretty well with these recently, so let's hope the good times keep on rolling. I've gone with over 3.5 cards because the referee for this is Rob Jones. Now, he's usually a Premier League referee, and out of every Prem referee who's officiated over 10 games this season, only 2 have given out more cards than him. He's given out over 3.5 cards in each of his last 5 games. And Sunderland and Watford, 2 of the naughtier teams in the Championship. They're both in the top 8 in the disciplinary table. So I would say cards look likely in this one, Justin.
Yep, just looking at the last game against Norwich, Ryan Andrews, Imran Louza, Musa Sissoko were all yellow carded. Vacuum Bayo was sent off. Just looking at Watford here would be a good shout. And obviously you've got Enzo Lefebvre tearing up that left flank. So anyone down that right-hand side is surely bound to pick up a booking. And you've got Patrick Roberts on the other side who's, again, going to do exactly the same thing. So left flank, surely going to pick up a booking. So yeah, over 3.5 is a very good shout. Yeah, very naughty teams, as you say. Always good to back the naughty.
Yeah, there's a few foul magnets in this game, actually. I think Georgie Chatford-Tadze is another one who attracts quite a few fouls for Watford as well. So, yeah, I think I'd be surprised if there weren't a fair few cards in this one. Justin, what's your next selection?
I've gone with both teams to score. In Sunderland's games since the turn of the year, only both teams have scored in 4 of the last 6 games. For Watford, there have been 12 occasions this season where one or both teams have scored. So given Watford's form all season and Sunderland since the turn of the year and their openness as well, I think both teams to score is a good shout here. So yeah, both teams to score is my second selection.
Yeah, I'm glad you picked this one, Justin, because one concern I have about Sunderland right now is how many goals they're conceding. Because I think it's only 3 clean sheets in their last 14 games. I don't think Chris Mepham and Luke O'Nien are looking as solid as they once were, and you've already mentioned the stats for Watford here. The 1-0 loss to Norwich at the weekend was the first time they failed to score in 13 games. So they, even though they have seen their results take a turn, they are still finding the back of the net on most occasions. And also that Norwich game, they were down to 10 men for nearly an hour. So this seems like a common sense pick to me. I'm glad you have gone with both teams to score as our next selection, Justin. And our final selection for the Bet Builder is Sunderland to win. A pretty straightforward one this week. Sunderland coming off the back of a great performance away at Middlesbrough. Watford have lost the last 3 and look to be on the slide. I think Sunderland do have some issues to iron out, as mentioned previously. I think they're looking a bit shakier at the back recently. The likes of Joe Bellingham and Chris Rigg haven't been able to influence games as much as they have done previously. Having said that, they should still have too much for Watford, particularly if Enzo Lefebvre shows any form similar to that of last Monday. Wilson Isidore will be licking his lips at the thought of that. But the top line is Sunderland need to win to go joint second, if only for a matter of hours. So it will keep the pressure on Sheffield United, who are playing later in the day. And with Sunderland's home form this season, only Leeds have won more points than them on their own turf. So they simply have to get the job done, and I think they will do, Justin. Do you agree?
I do agree. I do. I think Watford are very unsettled. Sunderland are in a good vein of form. And actually looking at things a little bit deeply, Watford's last win at Sunderland in the Championship or First Division, last game in 1994. They did win in the Premier League in 2015, but we don't count the Premier League on this podcast. Just a weird omen to throw into the mix for me. So yeah, it'd be a weird one. Intangibles.
Yeah, I don't hate it, Justin. I do not hate it at all. So that is our bet builder for Sunderland v Watford. It's Wilson Isidore to score any time, over 3.5 cards, both teams to score, and Sunderland to win. A £10 stake on that returns £80, thanks to SBK's 25% boost. But remember, if you don't fancy our bet builder with SBK, you can create your own bet builder from a range of markets. T's and C's apply, over 18s only, and please do gamble responsibly. Justin, let's take a quick break. After that, we'll make some more blooming predictions ahead of the weekend. Welcome back to the Second Tier podcast. This is the previous show brought to you by SBK. That means it's now time for us to have a look ahead to the weekend, an inch preview episode of the second tier. Justin and I will each pick a banker, a team we think is guaranteed to win this coming weekend, as well as an outsider, so someone we think is going to win but is bigger odds with our friends at SBK than their opponent. We're tracking how we do as the season goes on. It's 1 point for a correct banker, 2 points for an outsider. Whoever loses has to do a forfeit, which is to be a mascot at an EFL game next season. Oh dear, it's not looking very good for me, because the scores are 31-22 to Justin Peach. I drew a blank last week. Justin Peach got his outsider correct. That was the only one we got correct last week, people. So yeah, a bit of a strange weekend for the two of us, but yeah, it's not looking good for me, I've got to say, Justin.
Look at you. Even last season for me, there was an air of defiance at the growing lead. You're just conceding. I don't know whether these are pep mind games from you. But no, I'm not just falling
an acknowledgement that I'm not doing very well. I was actually having a look at how we were doing this time last year. So this time last year, I had 34 points. You had 20, I think, off the top of my head.
Fucking hell.
So yeah, that goes to show how quickly the turntables.
Yeah, how quickly the turntables indeed. I'm not surprised. It was, I was unfortunate last year. You got your picks in ahead of me quite often. You've been doing that this season. It's not made any difference this season. No. To play it cool. I just know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, guess who got their picks in early this week, ladies and gents, when we have a very limited schedule. 5 games to choose from. One of the games has already been picked as the game of the weekend. So we only had 4 games to choose from, which meant whoever went first had their pick of the bunch. And Justin Peach, kick us off. What's your banker for this weekend?
I mean, there were 2 bankers this weekend. One of them is obviously I picked his Sheffield United to win at home to Portsmouth on Saturday afternoon. It's the Blades at home. The home form is good. I do recognise that they did have a poor showing against Hull in their last home game. A reaction is needed, but just 2 defeats this season at Bramall Lane is really, really impressive. Ben Brereton Diaz and Tom Cannon combining for the winner against Derby will do the pair some good as well last weekend. I think more importantly, I'm playing my Portsmouth card here. They are garbage away from home. A bit like Plymouth earlier on in the season. You're going to hear the same rhetoric because he's going to keep coming up when they are away from Fratton Park. They conceded 38. Their last away point came in November against Swansea. They didn't recruit as extensively as maybe I first thought in January, outside of Australia, that is. So I don't think the squad is looking considerably better unless there's been a complete mindset change in the last couple of weeks. It's hard to foresee a Portsmouth win here or a Portsmouth result. So Sheffield United to win at home is my banker.
Yeah, not surprising really, because Portsmouth have been absolutely hopeless on the road recently, haven't they? Although I will take issue with one thing you said. Sheffield United good at home. They have had a bit of a shaky spell at Bramall Lane recently. They were right up there with Leeds as having pretty much the best home record in the division, but just 1 win in their last 5, including, of course, that 3-0 hiding against Hull, which really caught everyone by surprise. So if they were playing someone a bit more convincing on the road than Portsmouth, then maybe I won't be as confident on this one, Justin.
Perhaps, yes. I mean, you look at Hull and Ruben Sellers, they've improved, and that was a big win for them the other week. Against Sheffield United, but Portsmouth, we've not really seen that yet. We've not seen it. Their home form is good. It is good. Their away form nowhere near the level it needs to be, I think. And when you're coming up against a team who I think are starting to grow, they are starting to grow. I think that win against Derby, despite it not being their best performance, was a step in the right direction. Like I said, the two strikers that have come in combining for the win is going to do the confidence a world of good. And I think Sheffield United will at least be very solid and keep Portsmouth at bay. And then the quality that they've got going forwards now, I think will do the talking.
Well, they desperately need a win, don't they, to keep Burnley and Sunderland at bay. So, yeah, they'll be looking to make sure they do get that on the boards. And if they don't, it'll be a massive, massive slip-up on their behalf. Justin, do you remember former Sheffield United striker Lys Mousset?
Of course I do.
Well, he was once, of course, Sheffield United's record signing for £10 million, scored 6 goals for them in the Premier League in the season they finished 9th. But he's been on the move this week. Do you know where he's gone?
I believe he's gone to the Emerald Isle. Is that right?
Yes, the Emerald Island. Emerald Island, yeah. Emerald Isle.
The Emerald Isle?
Yeah, the Emerald Isle. of Ireland, because he signed for the League of Ireland side, Bohemians. He had been without a club for over a year and has gone there after a spell on trial. And the surprising thing is, Justin, he's still only 28. So it's quite remarkable, really, where his career's at now.
Yeah, I always used to sign him with Football Manager. He's one of those players I would love to sign. I think it's frustratingly, again, he's just one who suffered a lot of some serious injuries, which have really held him back. He's a player that's always benefited from his turn of pace, and I think, having not seen him for a couple of years, I don't know what that state of that is now. But if you lose it, it's hard to, I guess, adapt as a footballer, especially when that was one of your key traits. Just like Kyle Walker, for example, he's lost a yard and he's terrible, still terrible. So it just goes to show, you have to adapt as a player. And look at Kevin Phillips, for example. The man adapted all the time. I'm not comparing the two, by the way. Just saying, you've got to adapt.
He just wanted to give Kevin Phillips a mention, which is absolutely fine, because
it's been a while.
I just think about him all the time as well. Yeah, I think he went to Bochum in Germany, where he had some questions over his attitude and then had some injury problems as well, which has ultimately left him in the position where he's at now. But let's see how he gets on over in Ireland. I'll be keeping a keen eye, because he was a very highly rated player at one stage, wasn't he? I think I even had him in my fancy team at one point, Justin.
I think I did as well. He had a really good goal scoring spell, I think, with Bournemouth. Yeah.
No, it would have been with Sheffield United, wasn't it?
Sure, it was with Bournemouth.
I mean, he scored 3 goals in the Premier League for Bournemouth, so I doubt it would have been, but that's by the by. But yeah, he was once a decent striker. Still only 28. Let's see how he gets on, shall we? Anyway, let's get back on to the action this weekend. And it's my banker. It's Norwich to beat Derby at Carrow Road on Saturday afternoon. Derby County are on the edge of history this weekend, ladies and gentlemen, for all the wrong reasons. If they lose at Norwich, they'll become just the 5th team in Championship history to be beaten 8 or more games in a row, which is truly an astonishing achievement, which warrants Paul Warne holding onto his job somehow. Yeah, look, we've spoken a lot about Paul Warne and Derby recently. They are so poor, and it's astonishing that he doesn't seem to be close to losing his job. The football is so one-dimensional. They've failed to score in 5 of their last 7 league games, and only Luton and Plymouth have won fewer points than Derby on the road this season. And also worth mentioning, Derby have only kept 1 clean sheet on their travels all season. Who was that against? Burnley, of all teams. Bizarre. But anyway, Derby are shocking, and they're facing a Norwich side who are probably one of the teams I would least like to face right now. It's back-to-back wins for the Canaries. They look rejuvenated since the return of Josh Sargent. He's got 3 in his last 2 games, and they have been playing blisteringly well with him back in the team. It's not just the goals that he offers. He brings so much to the team in terms of, assisting his teammates, but also stretching defences as well. He is such a big player for them. And look, Norwich scored 5 in their last home game against Swansea. Should have won by more against Watford last time out. So they look as if they have a new lease of life and should have a lot of joy against a very, very out of form Derby County side.
There's no tangible or logical way of backing Derby here. They've been so poor. Yeah, I think the key sort of strength, or not strength, but positive you can really take out of Derby is they're not losing games heavily. They're not out of games either. They are somewhat in games, a lot of the games that they're playing.
It doesn't mean enough if you've got no attacking threat, though, does it?
Exactly. That's the other thing. It's a bit like pushing a heavy box up a hill, and you're just getting halfway up the hill every single time. That's what Derby are at the moment. That's the only sort of metaphor I can throw their way. And they're coming up against a team who are the second highest scorers at home in the division, just behind Leeds, but they've scored 11 more than the team in 3rd place, which is Coventry, bizarrely. So yeah, they just, for me, Norwich are far too prolific at home. The illogical things I will throw into the mix are their recent record at Carrow Road is actually pretty good. They won their last 3 visits. Obviously, the last one, I think Wayne Rooney scored that free kick. Bizarrely, wickedly against run of play in that game. They were hammered that weekend, if I remember rightly. In addition to that, Paul Warne's from Norwich, and he's got a lot of friends in Norwich. So he'll want to get one over them. surely. But that being said, I'd imagine the message coming from Paul Warne is still falling on deaf ears because they've lost 7 games in a row, or 8 in a row, including the FA Cup.
Yeah, if he was saving everything for just Norwich away, then it must be bloody impressive whatever he's been saving. Speaking of Paul Warne, he has been talking this week about the abuse he's been getting from Derby fans recently, and he's compared it to a pantomime. He's told the BBC it's obviously growing, the abuse that is, because our performances or our results haven't changed, so that is something I have to address. It's a little bit like being a panto dame. You're going to get a bit of stick now and again. I'm not sure pantomime dames do get stick, do they? They get booed and hissed at, but they don't get told they're football shit, do they?
And they're largely very popular characters in pantomimes. I've not seen a pantomime in years, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's a good point. The dames don't get stick, do they? It's the villains. The dames usually just big and loud, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. There are 2 ways you can look at this. Okay, if any abuse is personal, it doesn't need to be. The football is terrible. We can sort of lay it there. But also, I think trying to make a joke out of a very serious situation for Derby, I don't think is the right way to go. I think from his situation, he should just try and give people confidence, not trying to shine the spotlight on him saying, "Oh, I'm having a rough time," sort of thing. I think, just try and inspire the people around you, your stakeholders. That's what you need to be doing. Because, as I say, the message coming from Paul Warne to the players clearly isn't sitting in, and the fans, well, he's lost the fans. So, that's this interview I don't think has helped at all.
No. It will be. We've got to say that abuse should never really be condoned, but you're going to get stick when Derby have been as poor as they have been recently. And it's very difficult to see that changing away at Carrow Road. So there are mine and Justin's 2 bankers for this weekend. Every week we combine these 2 selections with a bet on the full-time result of our game of the weekend to create our very own second tier featured multiple with SBK. Now, usually with SBK, you would get a 20% Acca boost on championship games, but that's not the case this week because there's only 5 games. However, you can get a 10% boost if you have an accumulator on the FA Cup action this weekend. That's a minimum of 4 selections, and you'll get a very tidy 10% boost on your winnings. By the way, there's 4 championship teams facing Premier League opposition. If you back all of them to win, you'll win over £10,000 with the boost. Come on, Plymouth! You can do a job on Liverpool, I believe. Anyway, back to Championship matters. This week, we're going for Norwich, Sheffield United, Sunderland, and Justin's outsider of Sheffield Wednesday, all to win. A £10 bet on our accumulator returns £135. T's and C's apply, over 18s only, and please do gamble responsibly. Justin, that was your outsider for this weekend, as voted for by the second tier listeners. Why have you gone with Sheffield Wednesday to win away at West Brom on Saturday lunchtime?
I've gone double Yorkshire, Ryan.
Oh, yeah.
Double Sheffield.
Double Sheffield, even, yeah, I was going to say.
yeah, Yorkshire. Why have I gone with Sheffield Wednesday? Because it's the rest of the games that we could pick. It's one of the other games we could pick this weekend. But no, in all seriousness, this was the better of the other 2 or 3 games in terms of outsiders. Sheffield Wednesday, I think actually their away form is very, very good. They're 5th in the division for their away record. So going away from home is a relatively comfortable thing for the Wednesday, for the Owls, I should say. And I think coming up against a West Brom team who, to their credit, performed very, very well against Portsmouth in their last home game. Little bit flat against Plymouth in their follow-up game. But home comforts for the Baggies could be a thing. That being said, we're in a bit of a up in the air situation with Tony Mowbray and how the team's settling into his system, whereas Danny Rawls obviously been at Wednesday for a long time now. And I think with their away record being very good, it's actually, as an outsider, maybe on a full weekend of games would have attracted me to it as well. It's a big outsider. It's an outsider for a reason, but Wednesday's record away from home is the big pull for me.
Yeah, completely understandable, Justin. It's very encouraging. But could we see a debut in this one for Adam Armstrong? He, of course, moved to West Brom on deadline day. Well, technically the day after deadline day, but still a deadline day move, I guess. And with you backing Wednesday in this one, Justin, you must be somewhat fearful of what he'll bring to this Albion side. Don't make me say it. You know what he's going to bring, Justin?
Well, we outed him as Gary Goals. He's going to bring goals.
Goals! Adam Armstrong, goals! Tony Mowbray, goals!
Yeah, I mean,
West Brom, goals!
Sheffield Wednesday bring an air of chaos, don't they, with their games? They love the drama. They absolutely love the drama. So if there are, Ryan,
goals
in this game, then it's going to be an interesting fixture. But Adam Armstrong being that team, yes, it does worry me a little bit with this pick. But as I say, Wednesday are the outsiders. But it's that air of chaos. I think they do sort of like to bring into themselves for their away games. I think West Brom, being as attacking as they are going to be a threat all the way through the game. And when you've got Adam Armstrong in that team, yes, it's going to enhance that threat quite considerably. But I'm ignoring it because I don't want to think about it.
No, just ignore the goals. Let's go to my outsider. Swansea to win away at Bristol City on Sunday lunchtime.
Come on, let's justify it.
Yeah. Yeah, really earlier. Justin got his picks in before me this week, so I was left between choosing either Derby as my outsider or Swansea as my outsider. And I'm obviously not touching Derby with a barge pole right now, so here I am. I had two selections to choose from, and now I've got to try and justify backing a team who have lost 5 in a row in all competitions. Yeah, not one of my more confident picks of the season, put it that way. And the reason for that is because Swansea are an absolute mess. They have had a pretty disastrous January where they didn't do enough business and also lost their captain and best player. And Luke Williams is under pressure, and it's all been going pretty badly for Swansea, really. And now they're going to a side who have won their last 4 home games on the bounce as well. So, yeah, didn't really want to pick this, but I literally had no choice because there were no other games for me to choose from. So, well, what can I really say in favour of a Swansea win here? Well, what I can say is surely this run of losses has got to come to an end at some point. I can say that much for sure. By and large, only really bad teams at Championship level lose 5 league games in a row. And I don't think Swansea are a really bad side by any means. I don't think they're even a bad side, to be honest. And I also think they've not necessarily played as badly as their results suggest. They were pretty poor against Coventry, admittedly, but perhaps they're a bit unlucky in some of the heavier defeats that they've had during this losing run. And look, Bristol City's underlying data says they've not been great recently, so I am really grasping at straws here, but I literally had no other choice. So Swansea to win for me this weekend, because why not?
Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause, please, for that.
I'm trying to justify it as much as possible.
Yes, tough pick, this one.
Yep, it really is.
Swansea lost their last 4 away. Bristol City won their last 4 at home.
Yeah. Can I have an extra point if Swansea do win this? Because surely I deserve something for if Swansea do pull off something here.
That's not how the game works. That's not in the spirit of the game. Look, if you okay, you won't get an extra point, but I'll buy you a pint if Swansea come away with something.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Even if they get a draw.
Time for everything, I guess. So yeah, I guess that'll have to do for me. Come on then, Swansea. See what you can do this weekend. See if you can pull off something for old Ryan D. There we go, ladies and gents. Those have been our predictions for the weekend. I say predictions. What I've been forced to predict. And now it's time for this.
All right. Settle down, you lot. It's time for the Craig Bryson pub quiz.
Yes, it is, Mr. Barman. It's the Craig Bryson pub quiz, and this is how it works. I'm going to give Justin 6 clues about a Championship player, past or present, each more revealing than the last, and he simply has to guess who it is. They must have made over 200 Championship appearances in their career, and don't forget the bloody Dexter Blackstock rule is in play. We, of course, had some controversy last week. It was the first time this season that either one of us didn't get one right, and debate has been raging for days over whether Justin Peach broke the Dexter Blackstock rule with his Craig Bryson of Jamie Patterson. The jury is still out on that one. There's been a lot of discussion in the second tier Discord over that. I'm on the fence with it. I haven't been accusing anyone of anything here, Justin. What have you made of the controversy?
I'm going to consult the legal services of football lawyer Nick DeMarco if this goes against me. Happy to do it because, as I say, I think this sets a bigger precedent than the Man City's 115 charges, for example. So, a very important case. I vehemently think that Jamie Patterson is definitely considered above the Dexter Blackstock rule. I think he's achieved a lot in the game, and I think any suggestion that he isn't above the Dexter Blackstock rule is diminishing a very successful career.
Well, that's something we'll have to find out another day when the results of the court case finally come back. Just to add to the hundreds of other charges against you, Justin. But let's go to this one. This is your Craig Bryson pub quiz for this week, Justin. Do you want the first clue?
Yes, I want your spiteful clue, please. I know where this is going. Great.
I've not been spiteful. I usually take issue with you not telling me any clubs that players played for until the second last clue, but I am more fair than you. Anyway, the first clue is this. I've made 284 appearances at championship level, scoring 9 goals.
Sean Hutchinson.
It's not Sean Hutchinson, but good to hear him mentioned. Your next clue, Justin, is this. I made my professional debut in 2011, whilst on loan at Bradford City.
Adam Smith.
It's not Adam Smith, but good to hear him mentioned. Is that the Bournemouth Adam Smith?
Yeah.
He's not made 284 appearances at championship level, has he?
Don't know.
No, surely not. He's been in the Premier League for quite a while now, hasn't he? Yeah, let's move on to this one. Despite only being aged 32 right now, I am currently playing in the 7th tier of English football for Spalding United. You watch much of Spalding United, Justin?
Yeah, I do actually. Okay. I'm a big believer in that club that are from somewhere in the country.
Yeah.
I
think it's Cambridgeshire, I think.
Okay. Interesting. Never knew that. He's 32 now. I mean, his Bradford debut in 2011. Probably a defender. I will throw the next clue in, please.
Great.
What a delay for nothing.
I thought you were going to throw someone at me, but that's fine. 3 clues down, Justin. This is your 4th clue. I've played for 5 different clubs at championship level, including Brentford, Bristol City, Reading, Stoke, and one other club.
Brentford, Bristol City,
Reading, Stoke, and one other nameless club.
Oh, I feel like he's there, right in front of me. Okay. I can touch him, Ryan. I can touch him.
Oh, what's he wearing?
Silk.
Ooh.
I will say, Harley Dean.
Harley Dean. Good to hear mentioned, but it's not Harley Dean. I think you may have ticked off a few clubs there, actually, to be fair, because he played for Brentford and Reading, didn't he?
He didn't play for Stoke. No.
No. Your next clue is this. Your second last clue, Justin. Just so you're aware.
Mm-hmm.
I have 17 caps at youth level for England. However, I've made 9 caps at senior level for Jamaica. These clues, Jamaica, Justin, go crazy.
Yeah.
What are you thinking, Justin? Think out loud for us, because it makes for better podcasting.
Daniel Johnson.
It's not Daniel Johnson.
He's scored way more goals than that.
Yes, he's not scored 9 goals. Come on now, mate. Justin, this is your last clue.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. I won promotion from the Championship in 2014 with Leicester City, and was at the club when they won the Premier League title.
Okay. Sloan in Bradford. He's played for Brentford, Reading, Stoke, Leicester. Who was the other club?
He's played at Championship level for Brentford, Bristol City, Reading, Stoke and Leicester.
Liam Moore.
He's bloody done it, ladies and gents. Right at the death. His face was showing all signs of him having absolutely no clue who that was. But then suddenly it clicked. Like a light switch, Justin Peach has got the Craig Bryson pub quiz this week. Justin Peach, how do you feel?
I'm relieved. That was a tricky one. I will say he's under the Dexter Blackstock rule.
Oh, get the fuck out of here. That is an outrageous thing to say. Liam Moore?
What? No, that wasn't a reaction. Bloody hell. No, I mean, he qualifies. He's fine.
Rule.
No, I mean, he's fine. He fits the bill.
When you say under, that sounds like you're saying he doesn't qualify for it.
Okay, I think qualify was a better choice of words, but Ryan, let's talk about your reaction.
Because I thought you were accusing me of saying Liam Moore is not more relevant than Dexter Blackstock. I was about to lose my mind at you.
This Jamie Patterson scenario on the fence, I should say, is actually really eating away at him, ladies and gents.
That was nearly, I was just so taken aback that I thought you were accusing me of that. That would have been an outrageous thing to say, Justin Peach. Crikey me. Poor choice of words on your behalf, but that's fine. It was a misunderstanding. We move on. Speaking of misunderstandings, do you remember when we first started this podcast, Liam Moore was one of the most highly rated defenders in the Championship, wasn't he? So the fact that he's now 32, playing in the 7th tier of English football is just a bit mad to me.
It's injuries, isn't it? Yeah, he's really suffered. Really suffered. I think
there may have been some issues with him wanting to leave Reading as well. That spring to mind. I can't exactly remember all the details, so I won't go into too much on that. But I'm pretty sure he just basically refused to play for them at one point.
Yeah, maybe that. But he's had a lot of trouble with his ankle. I know that one for sure. So yeah, it is a shame because he's a very composed defender, and I think it was a surprise to see him leave Leicester when he did because he was very highly rated at that point. But I really liked him. I think he was a dependable defender if it wasn't for injuries.
Yeah, but I think he probably would have been playing in the Premier League at some point, to be honest, playing at a pretty decent level in the Premier League because he was a bloody good player. I also read while doing my research on him that while he was at Leicester when they won the Premier League title, he didn't get a Premier League winners medal, Justin, because he didn't play for them that season. And he revealed that he was in tears when he found out he wasn't going to get one because it was his local club and he wasn't going to get a Premier League medal for them. So that's sad, isn't it?
Yeah, that's brutal. That really does maim the title win now. Let's just scratch it off the record. It doesn't count. That's brutal. Rough.
Yeah.
Even Lenny Pidgley got a winners medal.
It's quite a sad end to the episode now, actually, isn't it? Let's remember Ashley at the start of the episode who walked around Worcester with his nuts hanging out of his jeans. That was a much happier start to the podcast.
Smile on the face. A lovely image in my mind.
Smile on his face and his nuts hanging out for everyone else. There we go, ladies and gents. This has been the Second Tier Preview Show brought to you by SBK, who I'm sure will be delighted by the end of that episode. We'll be back again on Sunday where we'll be talking about the small selection of Championship games coming up, but it's still going to be a cracker. So we look forward to seeing you then for that. But this has been the Second Tier Podcast. I've been Ryan Dilks.
I've been Justin Peach.
And a big thank you for listening.